Good morning, everybody. I'm on the phone. Still having technical difficulties at the office with our cell phones. Got no idea what's going on. I'm on the phone with them now to see if we can get them straightened up. So I'm back on my headset on my cell phone. So, got any questions today? Try to call. If not, just fax the office, and we'll get with you on a phone that is actually working. So I apologize for the inconvenience. Got one of those things there, Joe. We got a great phone system for you. It's brand new. You're going to save money. You're going to have this and that there. And the last 2 weeks has been chaos. So, got Michelle on the call from Royal Neighbors. Want to go over some things with her. She's got some new and exciting news about a new program they've got coming out called their Whole Life Jet Issue, which is just like their Jet Term. So, I just want to say two things before I put her on the phone. Is Royal Neighbors point of sale is a little bit different than everybody else's. When you're doing a point of sale interview with a client, you have to remember the client is the payor and they are the owner of the policy. So you cannot have the son pay for the policy for the mother when you're doing the actual application on the phone. It just is not going to happen. If the son wants to pay for it or the spouse wants to pay for it, you need to go through the process, get them approved online. When they're approved with the owner and the insured as the owner, insured, and the payor, you can change it after it's been issued, okay? So please try to keep that in mind. Number two, on the Jet Issue term, when you're doing the application, minimum face is $50,000. You're going to do it on your iPad, some type of apparatus that Michelle's going to go over. I think they got another one that you can use. You're going to get your client approved right then and there. The way it works is that will be their first payment due right then. You cannot postpone the first payment until the third of next month. The payment is done that day. It probably come out of their account the next day or 2 days later, depending if it's a weekend or a holiday. So that's what I want to say. And Jay, will you open up Michelle? Michelle, are you there?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Morning. Yes, ma'am. You're coming in loud and clear. Good morning.
Perfect.
As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your new day. And
well, thank you for having me.
With us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm going
All right.
to leave the floor open to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Joe, for having me on the call today. It's always nice to talk to all of the Chacho crew out there all over the place. So I want to talk about a few of our products today, and then I'll talk about a couple of other items as well. Our final expense product that we have, our simplified issue, we do have the point-of-sale voice signature, and we have our paper application. So as Joe mentioned, the owner and for the voice signature, you do have to have the owner and payer be the same person. Also, during that process for the voice signature, we do not do the Spanish interviews during that time, but we do have a paper application. I know there are a lot of agents who come across clients who speak Spanish and maybe aren't comfortable doing the phone call. You can actually send in the application to us, and we will have a translator call them back. So you just need to note at the top of the application, Spanish speaker needs translator, and actually you can set up a time. If you give us maybe like a day and a half, I think probably like by the time it gets submitted, give us a time at like 10 o'clock Tuesday morning. We'll actually call your client at 10 o'clock Tuesday morning with a translator on the phone to get that process done. So just in case you have any Spanish speakers that you would like to write with Royal Neighbors, just remember you can do the paper application. We will do the phone call. That phone call only takes about 3 to 5 minutes, just depending on how quickly the client goes through everything. So that is also a good option to have. Our final expense, our voice signature, we do have our POS worksheet that I do recommend that everybody uses. It's the front and back, just one page. It tells you exactly how the call is going to go. So it makes it really nice that when you're sitting with your client, you can complete this and they can kind of follow along with you on this sheet here of all the questions that you've answered. It does make the call go much quicker. Our average call time is now down to about 15 minutes. So I do really think it's important. Like I said, they're going to ask you exactly the way it is on the worksheet. So if you have the worksheet completed, it'll be really easy for you to go through. And if your client is sitting there with you, they have all the information that we're going to ask as well. So it makes it a little bit easier for your client. One of the things that we will ask is if you gave your client the important information form. So that's also just a one-pager that you leave with your client. It is important to make sure your client is aware of the name of the form. If we ask them if they have it and they say no, they do read that to them. And they read it nice and slow because they want to make sure that the client understands everything. So I think that's another pretty important thing regarding our final expense. A couple of things, we have no height and weight on our final expense product, so that's not a question that we ask. One of the nice things I think that clients like about our member benefits is the free living will or free simple will that you get as being part of a member with Royal Neighbors. It's actually really easy to use. You call in and you're able to complete that partially over the phone, and they set you up with somebody that's in your area. So I know several agents who use that with their clients now. They kind of help them out, maybe give them the phone number or whatever they need to do to get that completed. It's just a really nice thing that you can do for your client, but it is also something your client's going to remember that you did for them. So those are the types of things that I think agents can do to help get referrals or really just to help keep that client because the client knows that you actually care about them and they're not just another name. So for our final expense also, we have our prescription indicator list that you can carry around with you. Now, unfortunately, we can't put every single medication on here because it probably would weigh like 200 pounds for you to carry around because there's lots of different meds for cancer and different treatments. So this is our list, though, that has the most used medications. We do have a risk assessment line that's always available for you to call in and talk to our underwriters. There's just a couple of things on here that I wanted to point out. One, we have a couple of combination medications, which I can never really say the names of these medications, but they're here on our list. So one of them is if it's in combination with Coreg or Carvedilol, that makes it a decline. If they're taking one of those medications without the other, that's okay, though. We will take those cases. The other one is nitro that I always like to point out when I'm out seeing agents. A lot of times clients forget that they have nitro because it was prescribed to them. They don't take it every day. It's just a just-in-case type of medication. And people have it in their car, they have it in their purse, they have it wherever. And a lot of times, like I said, that is one that they don't necessarily remember that they have. So that nitro is if it's been prescribed or refilled during that time period, because unfortunately we have no way of knowing if they have taken that medication or not. And as the underwriter likes to tell me, if they were prescribed nitro, it's probably for a very specific reason. So just keep that in mind when you're out and about seeing final expense clients. I know that they bring out their bag, box, whatever of medication. That one typically is not ever going to be in there because they keep that one somewhere a little bit different. So that's our final expense. I think I hit kind of the high notes for that product. I did want to talk a little bit about our jet term that we have. As Joe mentioned, the minimum face amount is $50,000. So we have a 15-year, 20-year, and 30-year product. For the for ages 18 to 60, it goes up to $250,000, and that is jet. So that is you're just completing it on an iPad, tablet, whichever you have. You can do it on a laptop. You can do it on your phone. We don't recommend you do it on your phone just because it's so small, and when you're reviewing certain things with your client, it's kind of hard to see. And then we have from age 18 to 50, you can go all the way up to $500,000 for jet. So if you want to write somebody who is going to be in a different age, so if they're over the age of 60 or the face amount is higher, you do still complete the jet process. And just meaning the EAP process. So you're going to go through and complete everything, and it's actually going to get referred over to our underwriting team. So at that point, it becomes a fully underwritten product, and then our underwriters go through their normal process. But you are still completing the E application because we do not have a paper application for our term product. We do have a couple of things Joe did mention. The term product is an immediate draft, so just keep that in mind when you're speaking with your client, that whatever day they pick for their draft date, we're going to draft the day that the application is approved. So kind of just keep that in mind when you're looking at draft dates with your client. We do have a couple of items that we have out that agents can look at. We have a referred and declined guide. This has a list of cases or health conditions that will most likely result in a declined application, but it says most likely. So these are the types of things where I think it's really important just to call quick. You could be driving to your appointment, doing whatever. Just ask the underwriter. They're great. They'll pull up all the information. They'll tell you, especially if it's going to be fully underwritten, if we're going to need to order medical records or anything. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to tell you if maybe they think it's going to be rated, but they're going to go through that whole process with you to make it comfortable for you when you're speaking with your client. We do have a couple of, they call it application responses that do result in a decline. Felony convictions is a decline. If they've ever been in a premium financing situation, that is a decline. If they're confined to a hospital or nursing home, that's a decline. If they've had a DUI in the last 5 years, that's a decline. So the JET process, all the information, it's kind of similar to final expense. That's the only information that we get for the underwriting. So it's important on this type of product, though, it is different. It's not a final expense. So when we're asking questions on the app, if you say yes, it's okay. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be a declined. What happens is the app knows to ask drill down questions. So an additional list of questions is going to be asked. So I feel like that's probably the number one reason cases come over to us, is because maybe the client isn't telling us yes because they think they need to say no. So when they say no, we were not able to ask those extra questions. And it could be something that's very simple, like maybe we need to ask them a question about their cholesterol. That doesn't mean they're going to be declined, but if we don't have that information, we can't make our decision, and then it gets canceled as incomplete. So I just want to make sure that when you're talking with your client, just make sure they feel comfortable saying yes to questions, and that just knowing that that doesn't mean it's going to be a decline for them. As Joe mentioned, we have had a success with our term product, our JET, having that e-app process. E-apps are kind of the way to go now. A lot of people don't want to carry around paper applications. It's much easier to fill out something online, and especially to get a response very quickly as well for your clients, so they know if they were approved or not. So we do have our JET Whole Life coming out. That's our essential whole life product, traditional product. That should be coming out in the last quarter of the year. As soon as I have an exact date and more information, I will come back on the call. That might be a little bit of a longer call. I'm kind of teaming up with our product director, and he's going to actually go out and hit some offices and go over that product. So I think it's a really great product. He's really excited about it. The rates, obviously, since it's going to be JET, are going to be cheaper than our regular whole life product. So I'm really looking forward to that product coming out and being able to talk to you guys about that when it comes in. Those products, I talked about our final expense. I talked about our JET term. As soon as those cases are issued, we're releasing commissions. We want you to get paid quickly and get you taken care of. So that's just another nice thing, is that as soon as your case is approved, we are going to go ahead and get you paid. For products, I think that is what I had. I did just want to, I always like to bring up the member relief as far as member benefits that we have. Our member relief fund. This is anytime a client has an extreme financial hardship is how they have it listed, a result of an illness or injury or natural disaster. Your client can apply to get $200 with us. So that's a really nice savings that they can have with us. So maybe we're a couple of dollars more than another carrier, but just think about $200 a year. I mean, that's probably going to really beat out anything that you could have. It takes just a few minutes to apply online, and this is something that clients can actually use to pay their insurance. So say, a really bad storm came through, something happened, client's okay, nothing super major, but maybe they have to pay for some things to get fixed around their house, they can take this $200 and use it towards their insurance. So they don't have to worry about making insurance payments. We just had a client, they were actually able to use it to pay for 6 months of their insurance. And then they got the leftover amount was $24. So they got a check for $24 left because we do pay out the full $200. So again, that's just something really nice. Even if your client doesn't need it, it's just a nice reminder to your client that we do have that option for them to use. So that's probably one of my favorite benefits just because it's so easy to use, and the $200 is a nice, even impact number. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, I always like to talk about while I'm on the calls, is our trip. So in 2019, we are going to Hawaii. So we're going to the island of Kauai, and you have until the end of the year. So I know that there's a few agents who are on track that are on this call. So keep writing. I would love to have several of you in Hawaii with us. The thing about our trips, we like to treat our agents like royalty, and I know you've probably heard me say that a million times because I've been on Joe's calls a million times, but it's really true. Anytime I talk to an agent, not just because I plan the trip, I think they don't necessarily know that, but they're like, yeah, you guys, your trips are first rate. Everybody has a great time. You really do treat us good, because we know how hard you work to qualify for those trips. It's not easy to write $80,000 in premium with one company. You have to be out there working and seeing lots of clients and sitting in front of lots of people. So we really appreciate that. The trip is going to be to the Grand Hyatt Resort. It is a 4-night trip, so an extra night than we normally have. It does take slightly longer to get to Hawaii than most places, but when you get off the plane, you just are relaxed, honestly. It's if you've never been to Hawaii, it's a different experience. Looking at the beach, in Mexico has beautiful beaches. Hawaii is just different. The whole entire experience is really amazing, and I really hope that we have several people from the Chacho crew who end up being with us in Hawaii. So, Joe, do you have any questions? I know I went over that kind of quick.
Yeah, No, you did absolutely fine. I got an agent that texts me and wants to know if on the term jet issue, can there be another payor, or is it the same as the simplified issue?
For the jets.
The jet
that's a good
term
question.
can be. If you don't know, we'll just shoot out an email.
I don't know. I have like this little cheat sheet here. I don't see that listed anywhere.
Okay. I've got another question. Underwriting, you know some stuff about underwriting, but I've got 2 agents that just text me now, want to know if we can get an underwriter on the phone and just go over your jet term. They said, Joe, do they take insulin, and what about COPD? I know the COPD is probably a no. The insulin, I don't know.
So COPD is one of the most likely will result in a decline, but it probably depends on the treatment and that type of thing. But we could definitely get an underwriter on the phone with us. We haven't had one on in a while, and I think they would be happy to be on the call. So we can get that set up for sure.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of good and neat. And what we can do is that when you set it up with Heather on the call date that you can do it with the underwriter, we'll send something out to everybody maybe a week in advance. So if they got a case that they put with somebody else that was declined, they got a client that they're working on now that they may want to put with Rural Neighbors and not exactly sure, I think it'd be kind of good to just educate the agents on the phone to where they have an idea, because it is nice, easy, and simple. You think about it, up to $500,000 non-med for somebody under the age of 50. That's neat and strong. So we'll definitely have to do it.
Good. Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Hold on a minute. I've got another text from your friend, Mr. Mesos. Mr. Matos says, yes, there can be another person who is signing for the term as the payor. So,
well, thanks, buddy.
So
Nobody has actually ever asked me that question before, so
well,
good to know.
Manny has written a lot of those there. I know that there. Him and I talked last week, and he said he's back on the bandwagon. He's out cracking that whip, knocking and walking. So he says he's going to be out there. So, okay,
Great.
Manny,
Thanks,
thank you
Manny.
very much. Okay. Anybody have any questions? If you do me a star two, Nicole. Jay will open you up. I said Nicole. Michelle, you remember Nicole?
That's awesome. I love Nicole. I was like, I didn't know she came back.
No. She came to visit last week, and we just had such a great time just catching up, and I'm sitting right next to her office, and I thought of her. So, okay. We've got, who's on the phone? Manny said to put his hand down. Galen Orr, you're on the air, brother.
Yes, good morning. I just had a quick comment because I had an experience recently. When you're doing the telephonic app, I found out that if you're replacing the policy, then you can't do it telephonically. You have to get a wet signature and have a paper app.
Are you talking about our final expense product?
Yes, the final expense one. That's done over.
Mm-hmm. There are certain states where we do require a replacement form that you can still do the voice signature process, but then when it's done, you just send in the actual replacement form with the signature on it.
Right. Well, I guess I'm in Illinois, so this particular state has said I would have to do like a paper app, and I would have to have a wet signature, so I couldn't do it, telephonically. So I guess that does vary from, state to state, but I just wanted to, just kind of let everybody know that it's not like a guarantee that if you're replacing a policy that you can, do it telephonically.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'll talk to underwriting about that, but what I have for my information is that just the replacement form can't be done as part of the interview. So everything else should be able to be completed during the phone process. But I will double check, and then Joe, I can get back to you so that maybe you can send out something to your team.
Yes, that'd be great, because I always thought, Galen, that exactly what Michelle said, unless you brought something to our eyes in like an actual isolated state, you can do the actual interview on the phone, say you're going to replace it, sign all the paperwork verbally, then you have to send in a wet replacement form depending on your state to the carrier. But we will find out and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Or not, I'm sorry, not let you know, confirm what you know so I know. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have a question they want to ask? Do me a star two, and Jay will open you up. Okay, Michelle, I got another one here. Let me just read it, and I'll put it in my words. On the simplified issue, can a agent send in a wet application with a son paying for the parent's application?
We will probably ask why the son is paying for it, but yes, you can definitely do that. If the payer is going to be different, we might just ask, and if there's a specific reason, I would just note that on the application so that we don't have to ask you a follow-up question, and that the process will go much quicker that way. But yeah, you could do a wet signature at that point and send in the paper application.
Okay, the agent just replied to me just now saying that the mother's budget cannot afford to get her a $10,000 policy, so the son is going to pay for it. So it's basically just on budget there. So, okay.
Right. So, I would just I feel like it's different actually more on our traditional cases when a parent is paying for, somebody who's like 25 or 30 years old, and we want to know why they need to be the owner and payer of somebody, who should be able to do that type of thing for themselves. So, yeah, you can definitely send that in, and we'll just process it that way.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Do a star two, Jay, open you up. And it really doesn't matter what your question is, guys. If you're kind of unsure, please ask a question, because I've had agents call me after the call, and they say, Joe, I felt kind of bad asking that question there. I didn't want to sound like a dodo, but there's just times you just need to know. So the only thing I know, Michelle, an agent called me last week and said he did the call. He timed it from start to finish, and it was 17 and a half minutes. So
Yep.
he said, Joe, I must have gotten somebody who knows what they're doing. The process went very smooth. And he says what he feels helped him out, as you said earlier about the worksheet, he had the entire worksheet filled out.
Yes.
And as fast as he could talk, that person on the other end was typing. So
Yep.
he said it took him 17 and a half minutes. And to me, that's fantastic to get something over with. Now, have you guys come up with anything, if you know? If we're sitting in a home and we're doing the husband and wife together, is there a way to make the process go a little bit shorter instead of doing all the questions all over again, like, you know, the address and all that stuff there?
That is not something that that we have put together yet. I know we've gotten lots of feedback on it from agents, and that's something they were trying to figure out with our system and the way that it's set up. One of the things that I've recommended that agents do is start one of the clients going, and then once the agent portion is done, go ahead and get the other client started so they're kind of going at the same time, just from two different phones. So that makes the process go a little bit faster that way.
Okay. I like that idea. Okay. Nobody wants to raise their hand, so
That's okay.
is there? Yeah, we got a very matter of fact, we've got 48 people on the call, so I'm happy with the turnout. And again, thank you. And is there anything else you want to say or give away?
No,
anything?
I think. Oh, well, I can. Yep, I can give away something if you would like. I have a couple of fabulous Royal Neighbors coffee mugs that I can give out to people who want to raise their hand. Let me come up with a question here.
Well, before we come up with that question, I've got Mr. Matos has raised his hand. He wants to ask a question. Manny,
Okay.
you're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm doing great. I just wanted to ask real quick, if we do the payer separately, and let's say we do the wet application, are you saying that the payer is not going to have to be present for the phone call when they call the client?
Right. The payer's not. They do not have to be present for the phone call. We're really calling just. This is for final expense. We're calling to go over the medical questions with the client. So that's really the only information that we're asking the client when we call to do the interview later process.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Manny. And just to let everybody know that if you do send in a wet application because you want a payor to be different, or if you want to have a Spanish interpreter, or I think it's probably the only different thing unless it's a different language, you can call Royal Neighbors up to set up, I'll put on your application a kind of an approximate time you want it done. Michelle said a day and a half. I'd probably say 2 days out. And I would, if I were you, I'd go back to the client's house to make sure that the client is there and to make sure that they answer their phone, because a lot of times clients get a phone number from a toll-free. They don't have any idea, or maybe coming from their home office, which I think is a 309 area code. They don't recognize it. They don't pick it up. They get no phone call, and you don't get commission. So just something you guys to think about. If you can do a web app, I'd probably take a little ride back and visit with the client. So, okay, Michelle, you can put man down. Okay, I'll let you do what you do best and be nicer.
One of the other things really quick too is once we've ordered the interview for the client, the agent actually can call with the client on the phone and finish that process too. So once the app is here, if you think that the client they're not going to want to answer their phone, you can actually just call in to MRS directly, and they have the client information there already, so they can do the phone interview that way too. So
is it the same number, Michelle? Is it the same number? I thought it was a different number when you send it.
It is a different number, and I don't have all of my cute little my cheat sheet is not out yet because I switched locations. So I can send it out to everybody after the call. Let me make myself a note.
Please.
Okay. All right. Is everybody's hand down? And I'll ask a question.
Do it.
Ready. Okay. Where is our 2019 agent trip location?
Ooh, that's a fast one. Jackie Harris just raised her hand. Jackie, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. It's in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yes, that's right. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Jackie, your hand went up so quick. Good. Hope
She
to see you
was
there.
listening. She was listening.
I
She was
was.
ready.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jackie. Okay, Michelle,
Thank
you got
you.
one more, then we'll let these guys go back to work.
All right. I like to just do easy questions. So what products do we have coming out in the last quarter this year? Hopefully that's easy.
Mr. Scaglione. Jack Skag, you're on the air, brother.
I always got to say hi to Michelle. Absolutely.
Hi, Jack.
I would believe that would be the whole life, the essential whole life. So that's going to be on the iPad.
That is correct. Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, as soon as I have a final date of when that's going to come out, I will definitely bring my good friend Chris Gertz on the call to talk to you about all the inners and outer workings of that product.
Okay. Michelle, let me ask you one question while you're on the phone. Jack, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Right now, Michelle, you've got the Essential Plan out there. Is the Essential Plan going to be available when the new Jet Whole Life comes out, where there's two products, or will it be just the Jet Whole Life?
The Essential Whole Life product will be available. I think they're going to keep it out. I don't know exactly for how long, but they will have the paper app available for, I think, probably at least a few months after the Whole Life, the Jet, comes out.
So basically, is it going to eventually just phase out?
Yes, it eventually is going to phase out, and we'll only have the electronic version, which is just like we have done with our term. So there's only an electronic version of our term.
Okay. So we can also do a 20 pay for a 5-year-old online, and the parent will be the owner, the payor, everything. Correct? That'll be no problem.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, good. Jack, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you want to say something else, please do.
Oh no, that was it. That was it.
Thank you.
Well, Michelle, nobody else has their hands up for any other questions. So with that said, Michelle, I want to thank you very much. Jackie, congratulations on winning the gift from Royal Neighbors. Jack Skag, as always, pleasure hearing your voice on the phone. Congratulations on winning the gift as well. Manny, thank you for raising your hand. Galen as well. Appreciate the interaction. And with that said, Michelle, I'll let you in the call. Appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you very soon.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope everybody has a fabulous week. Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.